here and he finds out his computer is not fixed.
What a poor dude, man.
I
And
love it.
I always appreciate the clients who are, like they're honest with you. I don't need it today, but it'd be nice to have it by Thursday. Because when those people tell me I need it as soon as possible, I say, okay, this is an emergency, and they need this PC or laptop, or whatever the case may be, this issue resolved now. Because there are 3 times out of 10 where the guy or girl will give me 3 or 4 days. Because then at that point we form a relationship, and I know, okay, if he says serious, it's serious. But if you're gonna cry wolf every single time, I'm just gonna assume you.
See, we're a little different in that area since I charge by the hour. So
Yeah.
if a customer's on a service agreement and they need it right away, well, they're gonna get it right away no matter what because they have a
Right.
service agreement. Now, if they're not on a service agreement and they say they want it right away, I say, well, okay, you're gonna be in the queue because remember, you chose not to have a service agreement. So I can probably start working this probably tomorrow afternoon. Let's say
Mhm.
it's one morning. Well, I can't wait that long. So we have a priority service rate, and I can ask them, well, if you want, we can wait. I can't know for sure when the queue is. I said I'm estimating tomorrow afternoon. It may be sooner. If these jobs go sooner, I'll take yours sooner. I can't say for sure. It may be
Right.
later. It's just a rough estimate. But if you want the priority service, we can do the priority service rate, and you'll be bumped up to the top of the line, meaning you're next. You're next in line.
No, right, and that's a good point. Like the example that I use is, my daytime job where you that support a bunch of people. So
So, and then of course they ask, what's the rate? I say it's time and a half. Whatever your rate is, time and a half. So if they want everything as a priority, that's great with me. I charge time and a half
oh, sure, man.
for them, and they can have priority all they want without a service agreement.
Mhm.
So it's funny how even something that might take an hour, it's a priority, but they don't want to pay an hour and a half. Oh,
Mhm.
I'll wait. Well, okay. It weeds out a lot of the it's priority. I need it right now.
No, that's a good point, and that's a good point because the reality of the situation is if you do this for a personal business, or if you have a gig, some people don't realize that I'm not just there just leaning back with a cup of coffee just waiting for their phone, for their phone to ring.
That's what
I'm
they think.
Yeah, but and so I appreciate those folks, those clients that say, okay, I know that you're busy, but whenever you're at your convenience, and I tend to take care of because then those folks understand. Sorry for
Yeah.
all the venting. It's just been a tough week.
It's great. I love it. It's good to vent. But
Uh,
I want to get a shirt and I want to say ASAP does not equal now. That's what I want. I'm gonna have
yeah.
to make one of my shirts like that.
Steve has a good link. I think he shared it on one of his shows where he has buys all his cool T-shirts. And every time me and Steve go out uh, um, to a bar, he wears this one shirt. It says, "Oh, and that fits your
Yeah,
computer or something,"
he's told me about it.
and he
Yeah.
gets all this attention. It's awesome, dude.
I want that says I will fix your computer for a price.
For a price.
Because I will
Exactly.
fix it. They want to pay, I got it.
All right, man. Cool.
So, I'm gonna skip the last thing on the notes, but I know we're going kind of late, but
Mhm.
I do want to get to one email.
Okay, and we do have a bunch of emails, and we'll probably get to this one. And Matt, like next week, you want to catch up on all of them and go one by one?
I would say yes if I could remember which ones we did or not. So,
Okay.
so yeah, I'm gonna try and go through these. No, we will know for sure which ones have been read. Because a lot of these, when they come in, if I'll reply to them, so they don't have to wait for an answer,
Right.
and then I'll read them on the show so everybody can hear it. So, I, I need a better, I need to do a better filing system on my end to know which ones I've replied to it, but not read on the show. That's where I'm having my problem. And being out for 2 weeks kind of hurt me because I had so many emails, and I sat down one night and just replied to a whole bunch, and that's where I got confused of which ones were on the show and which ones weren't. So,
Gotcha.
so I want to read one email from Tim. Um, he says, I was looking for a cheap server antivirus and Exchange protection to use on SBS Server 2011, and I found Microsoft Forefront Endpoint Protection and Microsoft Forefront Protection for Exchange. Do you know anything about these programs? They cost only $10 and 50, they only cost $10 and $15 per year. If they work as good as the desktop versions of antivirus, Microsoft Security Essentials would be great. What do you think about these? Are they good? What is your recommendation?
What are what are they called again?
Microsoft Forefront Endpoint Protection and Microsoft Forefront Protection for Exchange. Now, if you're looking for a cheap one, these are good, um, but they are cheap. So I would say if they don't want to go with something like Trend Micro Worry-Free Business or some other one, I think this one would be fine. Now, if you pair this with something like Windows Intune service, where it pushes out the forefront, or actually they call it if you do Windows Intune, it's called Windows Intune Endpoint Protection, which is pretty much like the Security Essentials. It's just rebranded Windows Intune. So if you do this with Windows Intune, you can push all the antivirus down to the clients, run scans on clients, and then use this for the servers, which would be fine. Now, personally, if I'm doing an Exchange server somewhere, I like to have mail filtering in place. We use a Barracuda filtering, spam filtering.
Okay.
So the MX record points there, it scans it, it removes viruses, it gets rid of spam, and then it sends it to the Exchange server. So it's already done a lot of the work before it hits Exchange server. So that way your forefront protection for Exchange is not doing as much, which is good because you don't want it to be your only. I don't like it. I don't like all the emails hitting the server. I want them filtered before it gets to the server. So these I haven't personally used them, but I think they would be fine. I do want to test these.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you if you've used it before.
No, I looked at them. I read about it. I think it looks fine because I know some people just don't want to pay $65 per client for worry-free business or something like that. So this, I'm going to load this and test it, but I think it'd be fine. Remember, your servers aren't doing much, especially if you have spam filtering on them before it hits the server. You shouldn't be really having viruses on your server.
There's a question in the chat room. What's the difference between a desktop antivirus versus a server antivirus?
Well, a server antivirus normally a server antivirus, you can't load desktop antiviruses on servers.
Right.
They're going to tell you, no, this operating system is not supported. So normally you can't do it. The true server ones have a server component, a console where you can manage and monitor all the desktop operating systems and the statuses of their antivirus clients. So you have the client on the server, the management console, and then the clients running their own agent that is updated by the server. It doesn't go online for updates. It looks at the server for updates. The server downloads the updates for the antivirus and then pushes those to the clients. So in Computer Pro says AVG for SBE has been okay, not too pricey. I have some customers using AVG, mainly the ones that have IT in-house already. So they make those decisions to management, and they've for the most part been happy as well with that. They haven't any complaints. But again, if your workstations are protected and you have a good firewall and you have spam filtering, you're not going to have too much of a virus problem on your server anyway. So you got viruses on your server, you got to do some other kind of solution to prevent them from being there anyway.
Cool.
So that's about it for that question. So yeah, I would, if anybody's used it, let us know. I'm going to be testing it, but if anybody's used it, let me know.
Yeah, and because at the work we use Semantic, and I've built the manager semantic bots version 9, and it's all right. It's okay.
I don't like semantic.
Okay, I agree, but it's all right. It's okay.
We have some clients that use it. It's completely different from other antivirus.
It is because of all the components that it uses, and then yeah.
I actually might switch to, on some smaller clients, switch to not even using any kind of, like Trend Micro has Worry-Free Business Security Advanced and Standard. Advanced does the exchange scanning, and when email comes in, it scans it, that kind of thing. I'm thinking about not even, maybe even go, if I use Trend Micro, go down to the standard that does not have exchange, because I don't really think I need it with the Barracuda filtering that we're having, and with the WatchGuard router, we can do an SMTP filter in there, so it can all be done on the perimeter and not even done on the server.
Does that version also, if you transfer files via the network, does scan those files also?
Well, yeah. Well, they have the client and they have the agent on the server. So yeah, it's getting scanned along the way. It's got active scanning. So, and that's a problem sometimes if you're doing network support and there's a application that's running real slow. You may have to exclude that directory because all the back and forth from a true server client install of a program, it scans it constantly and it slows it down. So
I agree. In fact,
sometimes you have to exclude those things.
That's one of my first troubleshooting steps. Whichever antivirus that you might have is I shut it off temporarily and just see what the behavior, if it changes it at all.
Yep.
Yeah. I would tell you, I used to also manage a McAfee. They have something called ePolicy, which is kind of like the version
for McAfee.
Yeah, I think it's called ePolicy, or like the chat room might correct me. Man, that was crappy. But that was like